welcome back to Watching Business Morning right here on Channels Television. Now, let's look at Nigeria's energy sector, which some have called a paradox at this time because we have a rig count that has surged from 8 to 69 in 5 years, yet a production profile that consistently falls short of OPEC quota, 1.5 million. We haven't been able to hit that consistently. While crude theft often dominates the discourse, a more silent systemic crisis is at play, and that's the rapid decay of legacy offshore infrastructure. Estimates suggest that infrastructure-related production deferment cost the Nigerian economy a staggering $3.4 billion in just the first quarter of this year, 2026, as international oil companies, as the IOCs, continue their strategic exit from onshore and shallow water assets. The burden of maintaining the nation's 200 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves and the crude output now falls on indigenous shoulders. And we have one firm that seems to be interested in this, and that's Kenyon International. They say that they provide local intelligence and that can do what was once thought impossible and replace what they call critical underwater pipelines. And we have the Chief Executive Officer joining us this morning, Dr. Victor Ekpenyong, the Chief Executive Officer of Kenyon International, joins us virtually from Houston. Dr. Ekpenyong, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Nigerians, good morning, viewers. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, good to have you. Your team has just completed a milestone at OML 123 in Nigeria, and you achieved an 80% reduction in project time. Why is speed of execution a major consideration?
Yeah, so in life, we always need to take advantage of any opportunities that present itself to you. You know, sometime 2022 March, there was a war in Ukraine, and all of a sudden the oil price jumped. And this year, March again, we know what is going on in the Gulf, in the Middle East. So imagine all these opportunities that just spring up to people that operate oil and gas in the Gulf of Guinea, and either they have been able to meet their OPEC quota, they have been smiling to the bank at the moment. And you see what the oil and gas industry does in terms of Nigeria economy, and not just Nigeria, most of the operators in the country at the Gulf of Guinea. So you see that this would have been another opportunity for us as a nation to earn a lot of foreign exchange. So we see that one of the major challenges for people that operate mature asset, people that operate, asset that was discovered in 50s, 60s, an asset that was, developed in 70s, 80s, and early 90s. You discover that most of these assets are over 30 years, and most of these assets, a lot of things are going on, just like you said. Sometimes we focus that one of the reasons why we are not meeting of our OPEC quota is that the results of what is going on in terms of downstream. One of the reasons is that there is a lot of production, deferment in terms of expired, pipeline hoses and most of those things on the water, which take a longer time for them to be fixed, for them to be replaced. And sometimes, oil and gas is all about, petroleum economics. Some people look at, do we need to do this now? Do we need to do this later? What do it cost us to do it now? So what we as Kenyon International, what we are doing is that we are trying to stand as a technology gap in this critical infrastructure in Nigeria. We discovered that in West Texas here in the United States, you see oil companies are drilling and producing their oil as fast as possible. In Nigeria, the time it takes for you to drill a well and the time it takes for you to produce those production takes a longer time. Why does it take this time? It's because of planning, logistics, and most of those infrastructure that need to be put in place. So what we're doing is that why is it easier in West Texas? What are the Americans doing that we are not doing? And I now discovered that there is a technology, it has been there before, but what the people here are doing is that they deploy RTP, reinforced thermoplastic pipes. And these are the technologies that are making oil and gas deployment in terms of oil and gas pipeline very easy for it to be laid. So we partnered with a company called FlexSteel here in Houston, and we took them to Nigeria. What we did was that we talked to a customer and said, "customer, I know you are different production, thousands of barrels that's supposed to add revenue to Nigeria economy. Imagine now that the oil price has skyrocketed. Why don't you apply this technology? This technology can be laid as quickly as possible." And we appreciate those operators because they were very quick to see that there is a technology that we can bring into the Nigerian industry, and this is what we took in there. And this is typically what's supposed to take at least 1 or 2 years to be planned, but we're able to do this in a space less than 4 or 5 months and deliver these critical project to our customer. And now this is one of the projects that have also boosted Nigerian production today. As you can see that the Nigerian production have gone up a little bit. These are one of the critical projects that has boosted this production. And just think about those thousands of hundreds of kilometers of pipelines in our shallow waters in the Gulf of Guinea, in our land and swamp that already been expired. If these can be deployed, I can tell you that Nigeria may not even need to drill more wells. The wells that we have existing already, if we can try the most as possible to see how to revamp infrastructure, I can tell you that in a very shortable time, we can hit 2 million barrels of oil per day.
Underwater composite technology, how does it change the cost to benefits ratio?
Okay, so if you want to lay a typical pipeline takes a lot of time for you to lay that. Yeah, you need to bring a lot of equipment on ground. It takes a lot of time to weld this pipe. It takes a lot of time to do critical tests on them. They call it NDT, a non-destructive test. It takes a lot of time to lay them. But this one is all about time. It's all about time. Now, if we are to lay the project we just finished now, if we are to do it in a normal steel pipeline, it's going to take you at least a year plus. So imagine us laying this in 3 months. You look at the cost benefit that we have saved for the customer. So we did this day and night, and we were able to finish it up from shipment in Houston to deployment took us 6 months. But the typical project took less than 90 days. We did this in less than 90 days. And these are what we need in our critical infrastructure right now. So it helps the customer to save a lot of money. Secondly, this technology does not require inspection, does not require maintenance. Immediately you lay, you are sure that in the next 30, 45 years, you are sure of your production. But other pipelines will require you to come in, be doing an inspection, be testing to be sure if there are leakages there, or if there are other leakages there. But this technology is a technology that immediately you deploy in, you are sure that in the next 30, 45 years, even 50 years, you are sure of constant production and there are not going to be any production deferment.
All right, but we've seen a lot of exits of the IOCs. Should we be worried about maintenance gap with all these exits? Can we trust the indigenous hands to handle this?
I can tell you this project was done by indigenous company, was not done by IOCs. The operator is indigenous. We as a company that deployed the technology were indigenous. And I can tell you a lot of indigenous companies that took over this brownfield asset, they're investing a lot to see how to revamp them. I can tell you Renaissance, a lot of companies supply, they are doing a lot. And who are they using? They are using us as a company. I can tell you, Nigeria as a country, we are so blessed to have technical and smart people. I can tell you, I belong to an organization called PETAN, Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria. Nigerian companies are in Kuwait. Nigerian companies are in India. Nigerian companies are in Uganda. Nigerian companies are now exporting technology. We in Payton, we're exporting technology to other African countries. We're helping African country in terms of local content. We're helping African country in terms of technology support. So it's not all that because IOC is leaving and Nigerian oil and gas is going down. No, I can tell you, Nigerians are being trained. Nigerians are expert. Nigerians are capable to man and to run this industry.
And the PIA, I mean, a lot of companies have in the past complained about the regulatory environment in Nigeria. Can we say that the PIA at this time is working towards at least unlocking some of that global capital and calm nerves when it comes to the regulatory environment?
You can see that even the PIA was signed, you can see a lot of the FIDs that are coming into the country, the Bonga South, even the ENI are just launched and just signing, they're about to kick off a project. You see Total Orbital project, all this project was called in the past, but PIA have also, facilitated this project. And you can see a lot of companies, a lot of people, and even Nigeria sometimes is even the bride now. Nigeria is not just about the oil. Nigeria is about 30-something billion reserves of oil, but Nigeria is about 210 trillion cubic feet of gas. Nigerian gas reserve life index is about 92.7 years. If we start to produce gas now in the next 92 years, we'll not be able to finish producing our gas. So the PIA has unlocked this opportunity for people to see, for companies outside, for investors outside the country to say, Nigeria is not just about an oil in a country. Nigeria is a gas nation. A lot of people are now, a lot of investment are flooding into Nigeria. The Total Energy Orbital project is a gas project. There is another project that is going to happen at Iman project. There is another project going on in Bonga. There is another project that is going to be spearheaded by ENI. All these projects are being unlocked because of PIA. So PIA is a catalyst for you to see all these fraudulent investment and all these FDIs that have been taken in oil and gas industry.
And yes, report says in spite of all of this, just about 1.5% of Nigeria's gas has been unlocked. Is it just a matter of infrastructure, or are there other challenges that stops Nigeria from maximizing this gas potential?
Number one is funding investment. I wish the PIA has helped in terms of bringing in the funding investment. I don't know what is going to be the infrastructure which the companies are coming up with. Like now, there is a lot of project. You can see NMPC just last week talks about the river, the river crossing. NMPC just achieved a very magnificent milestone, which they lay a pipeline that, cut across underwater. That pipeline is for domestic consumption. That pipeline is to bring gas from wherever they are to, domestic market. So you see, there is going to be a lot of projects coming up because of, PIA, and there's going to be a lot of projects coming up for gas distribution. And that is where we're also going to play a major role. That is where this technology, this pipeline technology is also going to play a major role, because this pipeline is going to bring gas faster and faster to consumers.
And we have been hearing a lot of applause about the Nigeria-Morocco pipeline, gas pipeline. What can we expect from this? Do you see a future where perhaps African firms can lead the infrastructure build out, beginning from this gas pipeline?
The gas pipeline cut across Nigeria is about 14 West African countries or so. So most of those gas pipeline network are even done by Africans, by Nigerians. Nigerians are one of the companies that are also doing all this. And the purpose of the gas pipeline is Nigeria, as one of the countries that has the largest gas reserve in Africa, is also to export the gas to Europe, in which they are going to move through about these 7,000 kilometers of pipeline to Morocco. And from there, they now supply gas to Europe. And it plays a very critical role in terms of indigenous capability, in terms of indigenous capacity. And you have seen the likes of Nigerian companies being part of these are going to lead the Nigerian side, and some other African countries and some other African, companies are also going to time their own end before it moves into the North Africa. And now these are major, major, major projects that are projecting the indigenous capability, indigenous capacity of Africans, and to tell the world that this can not only be done by foreign companies, can also be done by Nigerian companies. And most of these companies are being spearheaded by Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, called PETA.
All right, so of course we do hope that we would see more. Congratulations to your company and yourself for this milestone you've achieved. But of course we expect and we are greedy for more from the oil and gas and from private companies like yours, Dr. Victor Ekpenyong, the Chief Executive Officer of Kenyon International. Thank you for your time and congratulations once again.
Thank you for having me. It's my pleasure.